And welcome back to our weekly look at Tiffin University basketball. Hi everybody, I'm Snyder, voice of the Dragons. To my right, head coach of the men's program, Mr. Tom Church. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing great, Russ. Thanks for having me on.
Only one game to talk about this week. Schedule change with the game last Saturday. You can update the folks here in a minute about when that game has been moved to, but only one game last week. The Dragons went on the road, and Ashland, a team who I bet was kind of licking their chops waiting for you guys to get back after what you did to them here, but you also got to be awful proud of your effort from your guys getting that big 10-point win on the road. A very difficult place to play.
Very difficult place to play. We knew that they would be ready, but our guys are dialed in right now, and this is a important stretch of the season.
Yeah.
Moving in, I can't believe it's February, going to be February already. But our guys played tremendous, especially on the defensive end. I think we gave up 20 points the first 10 minutes. And then I think they scored 40 over the next 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. So we really kind of dug in there the last 10 minutes of the first half, which I think carried us, the rest of the game. And it's the way we won, too, because we had an 11-point lead, right. I think, with 12 minutes to go. Right. We knew they would make a run. They took the lead by 2. Our guys didn't panic. We made some plays down the stretch, hit a couple big shots, took the lead, and then never gave it back up.
Right.
So
well, you mentioned a defensive end. You don't go on the road and have a +6 turnover advantage on the road without playing good defense.
Absolutely, we've been really good on that end, and it's going to have to continue because we got some teams that we're going to be playing these next few games that can really score it.
And the more you're moving up the standings, the bigger the bullseye gets on you as well.
We knew that going into the year that we certainly surprised some teams. I think last year. So we knew going into this season that nobody was going to take us lightly.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
But on the flip side, we've talked about some of the injuries that we've had. We've battled through. We've had some guys step up and play extremely well, and that's going to have to continue.
That's probably one of the things you're proudest of the most this year, the way the guys have stepped up when you absolutely had to have them do it.
Yeah, and I think getting so many returners back from last year, and then through our recruiting, you have to have depth. In this league, and we've seen some teams that have had some injuries that haven't been able to really step up because they haven't had the depth that we've had, and we've had some guys that have gotten some minutes and they've taken full advantage of it.
Well, you mentioned you were able to get Karius over here behind the bench last week, and he seemed to really enjoy himself being back there and being back with his guys.
He's a big part of where we are at right now and where we're going, so it's important. It's hard for him to kind of move around obviously right now, but the more that he's around the team, the guys know he's a big part of where we're at.
I tried to offer him a headset and got a little giggle out of him, so maybe we can get him on the mic.
You never know. That could be his future. You never know.
Also in the game, Matt Ashton, the Dragons had a +1 rebound advantage, and 4 of your starters go for double figures. Let's first start off with Wesley Jordan. The big man for Ashland is a load. We mentioned it the first time he played, and Wesley goes up there and gets another double-double for it.
He is just about as consistent as can be, and he is he's slowly working his way up the record books. He's going to be top 10 in points and rebounds, which is just an incredible accomplishment.
Needs a lot of minutes on that floor, that's for sure.
A lot of minutes on that floor, and but he's just as steady as they go, and we've needed that. You know what I mean? Especially like I said, since we faced some injuries, but he's been really good. We've been able to throw it into him, and he's been able to do this, getting double teamed.
Right.
Mostly every game he's getting double teamed. So he's made the right read. He hasn't forced. He's made some tough shots, but he's been extremely steady on both ends of the floor. Defensively, he's been really good as well.
And he's got a beast to go up against just about every single time he laces them up, too.
Every single night we're going up against somebody that has a good big or a great big and one of the top bigs in the league.
Well, we mentioned the guys who had to step up when the Dragons need them, too, and KJ Pruitt's one of those guys you mentioned a lot. His work on the defensive end, his length, how good he is there. But he goes for 13 for you at Ashland, 5 of 5 for the field. Leads the team not only in assists, but in blocks. There goes the defensive end, but you got a lot of the offensive end from him.
You look at his stat line, it's impressive. He won our, one of the guys that won the Hard Hat Toughness Award, and the blocks. He just really frustrated Wheeler in the game, who's a really good scorer, who's a really good player. He's one of the top players in the league. And, KJ, he just loves taking on that role. But to go 5 for 5 from the field, rebounds, assists, no turnovers. I think he had 5 assists, no turnovers.
That's huge.
That's an incredible stat line. Then you throw the blocks in there. We really frustrated them on the offensive end where, they got some points here and there, but the consistency of our defense, I think, really frustrated them.
Ian Lopez hitting big shots for you in the second half as well.
Wow. He hit a couple down the stretch, especially when They had a 2-point lead. I think he hit a 3 to put us up 1. They came down and made a shot, and then he came down and kind of hit like a little bit of a step back just inside the 3-point line, which was huge. And it kind of let them know, like, hey, we're not going anywhere.
Right.
And then we were able to get consecutive stops. And
that's as big as the points.
It's as big as the point. So getting those consecutive stops after we scored was huge.
We don't even mention Morgan Taylor yet, and he goes 16 points. Last year led you in scoring and hit 8 free throws. You got to make those free throws, or the ball's in your hands as much as him, and you got to lead.
His free throw shooting the last couple games, and getting there. It's one thing to get there, but to make them. And then I think he drew 7 fouls in the game. That's the biggest thing with him.
You brought that up before.
Yeah, that's a big stat that we look at is the FD, the fouls drawn, and he was able to draw those fouls. And really get them in foul trouble at times, some of their players. So, and they were trying to do some different things with him. They were trying to take him away, and it's really so hard because he's so strong and athletic, and he can get the ball and just kind of control the game.
You know how difficult it is when your guys get in foul trouble. It just changes your rotations, everything you prep for. And we can have a point guard who can get other guys who handle the ball for the other team. And foul trouble is a huge part of it too.
And I think the other stat, and you may be ready to mention that. But Brandon Swaby, the plus minus, he was at a plus 19, I believe.
I didn't have that down.
He was at a plus 19 for the game.
Wow.
And that just goes to show you, like, guys stepping up and making. We talk about Brandon, how he makes winning plays. He had a tip, an offensive rebound tip to Wes, probably at about the 2.5-minute mark that pushed our lead from 2 to 4. Which people understand time and possession. To go from a 1-possession game to a 2-possession game is huge. It takes a lot of pressure off your defense. So his plus minus, being at a plus 19 in the game was tremendous.
Yeah, I wasn't able to go to the game. My daughter was cheering, but luckily for me, our varsity game got to the running clock because the high school game I went to, 44 points scored in the first quarter by our local team. They went 11-13 from the 3-point line in the first quarter.
Yeah, I know states have gone to the whole running clock thing if you get up a certain amount of points. So I was at a game in Michigan and I had heard about that. So I know that that's something new that they just kind of, let's speed it up here.
It got me home in time to catch the game.
No,
so
you watched the best part of it. So
right.
That was great.
Well, the Dragons will be back on the floor both Thursday and Saturday this week. Only back here on Thursday when Hillsdale comes to town. Team who right now the Dragons sitting 3rd in the GMAC, Hillsdale in the 7th spot in the GMAC, and a game that the Dragons went up there on January 6th and lost a tough one, 56-51, a game that you really think you could have had.
Yeah, and that was our first game after Karius' injury on that Thursday night at Northwood. So we had one day to prep. I wasn't sure how we were going to kind of react to that. Jacob had cut his hand, so he had just, he was still trying to come back from that. So we had a few things, a little bit of adversity that we had to face, but I was extremely happy with our defensive effort in that game. And we're going to need another one, but you can't go. I think we were 1 of 20 from the 3-point line. We missed 10 to 12 free throws in the game, shot 30%. And honestly, that was probably, we got a couple layups at the end when we were trying to just kind of keep the game close, where they were taking away the 3. So, you can't do that on the road and win. But I was particularly happy with the fact that we gave ourselves a chance to win. And our guys are learning that every night if we bring it on the defensive end, we'll give ourselves a chance. So we're going to need another defensive effort like that, but we're going to have to shoot the ball better.
Seems like your shooting's getting a little more consistent, though.
It's getting a little bit more consistent. We're home, but we're certainly not going to take any of that for granted. The one stat, we've got to get to the offensive class, I believe, on them. So that's going to be an area that we focus on. But if we can shoot the ball better, we're back in the Gill. It's going to be a big game. I was looking at the record books. I think it's been 10 years since we've beaten them.
Oh my goodness.
I think 2014 was the last time that we beat them. So, this is going to be a big game, and there's a little bit of pressure on us, and we're going to see how our guys react. I'm excited about it. I mean, I can tell you right now, practices up to this point, we've been absolutely locked in because I think they know, where we are at this point in the season. There's still a lot of games to be played, but just how important these games are coming up.
And that will be a hard 7:30 start because there's no women's game beforehand on Thursday night.
No women's game beforehand, so it's going to be a little bit different. But we're hoping, we're talking to all the coaches, and we're hoping that we can just get an absolute, unbelievable crowd.
I think it will be.
So, yeah.
And don't have a whole lot of home games left, so I think the last handful, 5, 6, whatever home games we have left, it'll be a packed house in here. And then Saturday, with the unbalanced schedule, I think Thomas More, the only time you'll play them, right? When you go down to Thomas More,
only time we play them. So we'll get down there on Friday night, and we'll play them Saturday. And again, another big game. They've kind of been a little bit up and down. I know they've had some injuries. and it's a big transition for them, going from NAI to Division II, because you're really kind of getting into the season now to where it's just like there's just, and it's like most conferences, but there's just no breaks. I mean, you cannot slip up for 1 minute. So that's going to be a big game, and they're really, really good at home. I want to say their only 2 losses at home are Cedarville and Hillsdale. Wow. So they beat Hillsdale at Hillsdale, and then Hillsdale returned the favor and beat them at Thomas More. So that'll be interesting, because I think they've only got 2 losses at home, and they don't play this week. So they do not play on Thursday.
So they got all kinds of prep time
to be prep for us.
Right.
So.
Like I said, this Thursday, the Dragons home, 7:30 start against Hillsdale. Saturday at Thomas More. We'll have all the coverage for you right back here on Thursday. Thomas More will take care of it on Saturday. Coach, anything else before we let you go get ready for Thursday night?
No, but if you're watching this and you're not doing anything on Thursday night, and you want to see a really, really good college atmosphere and college basketball game, get over here to the Gill. Get here early, show your support, because we need it. I'll just say that, like, Tiffin basketball, I'm really proud of where this program's at. And we're kind of in an area that we've never really been before, especially at the Division II level.
Yep.
So I know our alumni are excited, our fans are excited, and this team needs your support. And they're fun to watch, and they're a great group of guys.
I can back everything up that he just said. Great group of guys, fun to watch, and the alumni support is most certainly there. Coach Tom Church, thank you so much for your time. We'll check in with the women's coach here in just a minute. That's Josh Mason here on Dragon Basketball Weekly. Well, welcome back in Dragon Basketball Weekly, our weekly look at Tiffin University basketball. Russ Snyder, voice of the Dragons. To my right, women's head coach, Mr. Josh Mason. Coach, welcome back in, bud. How are you doing today?
Oh, wonderful, man. I appreciate you having me.
Just about done with January, getting ready to move into February, and there's not a whole lot of games left to be played out here.
There's not. We're back on the road this week, and we got several more road games, so only a couple more games of the Gilly this year.
Right. It's crazy how fast things. Seems like the basketball season is long, but then when you get towards the last month, seems like it's starting to go by real fast.
That's the truth.
Well, the Dragons last week went on the road, took on the #1 team in the country at Ashland. I'll tell you what, your girls gave them every single thing they wanted on Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday was there was definitely lots of positives to take away. I felt like we definitely made Ashland work for that one, and the girls, focused and were disciplined for 40 minutes. It was fun to see how they improved, I guess, from the first time we played them 2 weeks ago.
Right, they're only down 8 points at half, and in that game, Kirsten Williams and Katara Desjardins both have 13 points for you, and Kirsten chipped in with 8 rebounds as well. Those two there were really your catalysts on the offensive end on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret when you play Ashland, every bucket that you get, you got to work for. They did a really good job responding to that.
Well, then Thursday night, as we said, the Dragons went on the road and took on Ashland, and then Saturday had another road game, went down to Ohio Dominican, and this is another game where you can point to a couple quarters with the offensive woes. Second and fourth quarter, up positive for the Dragons. First and third quarter was the negative that you couldn't. The positives didn't overtake the negatives.
Yeah. So. Those Saturday games with the quick turnarounds, you're always cautious to see how your team's going to be in the first quarter. I think a lot of games on Saturday are won in the first quarter, just because of the juice the team's got to bring after playing a tough GMAC game on Thursday. So obviously we're not happy with the results of Saturday's game, based on how well we had played on Thursday.
Right.
But the girls have responded well this week with trying to forget about it and move on.
That goes back to the word that I mentioned last time that I think you use more than anything, and that's the word consistency, right?
Yes, yeah. That's, again, story of our life this season. We've had some phenomenal quarters with great glimpses of how we want to play basketball, and it's just trying to find ways to make sure you do that for 4 quarters.
Yeah. Well, Katara led you in scoring on Saturday down at Ohio Dominican as well with 14, and Grace Craig off the bench almost got you a double-double. She chipped in with 8 and 8.
Yeah, Grace is always going to be Grace Craig, and that's relentless effort on both ends of the floor, and that's how she generates a lot of her points. It's just simply outworking the other team. It starts with her rebounding, and then ends with her finishing around the bucket.
I was looking at some of the minutes that the girls are playing as I'm getting ready for this today, and one thing I've noticed, this time of year, sometimes the bigs maybe start wearing down a little bit, and their minutes maybe have to be reduced. It doesn't seem like you've had to do that. Your bigs seem to be still playing the amount of minutes that you need them to play each and every week.
Yeah, they're all competitors. They want to win, and they know they got to be on the floor for us to win. So, really proud of the way that they're maintaining their minutes throughout the season.
And a bunch of young kids getting those extra minutes that we talked about last week as well, and this week. another tough one. You go on the road to take on Ursuline. I remember early, I feel a long time ago when Ursuline came here, and you really liked that team we were talking about before they came in here and played. And that's one of the better offensive clubs in this league.
They are one of the top offenses. I think they're number 2 or 3 actually in the conference offensively. It goes back to the incredible pace they play with. So we got to make sure our transition defense is good. But it is definitely a game when you know you play Ursuline, it's going to be a battle. You're going to be tired afterwards, but it's something that we're looking forward to.
Well, this Thursday is one of those strange occurrences where once you get into the conference schedule where the men and women are playing not only not on the same night but in different towns. You know, you guys will be on the road. The men will be here on Thursday night. And then Saturday, another with the unbalanced schedule. I think it's the only time you'll see Thomas More this year. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, only time with Thomas More. The men will be down there as well. So we're back on GMAC schedule with back.
Right, and you got 2 teams in the top 5 in the conference, so it doesn't get any easier each and every week, does it? Just it's a bear every single Thursday, Saturday, whatever day you got to lace them up.
That is the truth, and that's why you love being a part of the GMAC, because you want to be in those competitive games with top teams in not only just our conference but the country. I mean, so we saw with Ashland. I think we're gonna have multiple teams in the NCAA tournament this year.
I think that's true.
Ursuline and Thomas More are going to be in the running for those. It's another great test for us.
Well, as you're moving into February, you know, how do things, you know, change with you in the practice? I mean, you can't kill the kids physically in practice. Now, talk a little bit about how things change for you as you move into this final stretch run of the season.
Yeah, you know, there are some things we do to kind of maintain legs, you know. But our Tuesdays are our live days, and we're still gonna practice pretty hard on Tuesdays. But at this point of the season, it is about are you getting proper sleep? Are you recovering properly? Lifting. Coach Fain's phenomenal with our kids with getting them in recovery mode of lifting during the season. So I think this is the part that the freshmen are having to learn on the fly of there's more to being a basketball player in college. Like, you just can't come in here and hoop it. You got to do a lot of more things to take care of your body to be able to get through a season like this. So.
And you didn't even mention anything that you have to do with the academic side of everything as well. It's being a college student and a college athlete, either one of those can be very difficult and very time consuming. And when you put those 2 things together, it really, really does scream the word discipline that you have to be able to maintain as a student athlete.
That is the truth. Luckily for us, you know, our kids are very high academic. It's something they truly want to be good at. So that part they handle themselves, which I could not do.
I was going to say, that is one less stress worry.
The easy part.
Yeah, take that off my plate. Just get those grades. I don't have to worry about that. Let's just talk about basketball.
Yeah.
All right, as you look at this final month, Coach, what's one of the things you really want to see out of your kids? I'm sure a part of it is you always want to see improvement, but you probably want to make sure these kids are still having fun out there playing basketball.
Yeah, you know, I think we're still at that point. You know, this isn't a season, everyone knows it isn't a season that we had hoped for to start. But I think the good thing about our kids, and a testament to them, is we're still together. We're still finding ways to enjoy the game. We're still trying to find the positives out of every game to improve upon. And I think it's just a reality situation of everyone understanding that this is a process, maybe not just a 1-year process, but a multi-year process. And everyone's a part of it. So I think everyone feels their role a part of it. And we're going to see how we finish with these last 8 games.
That's the family aspect of team in it.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
All right, yeah. So, Coach, as I said, good luck to you on this week on the road, a couple of games, and then next week was good. You got to talk about those and get ready for your kids to get back on this floor again.
Yes.
A week from Thursday. So, thank you so much for your time. Give the kids the best, and we'll check in with you again next week.
Oh, I appreciate it, man.
That's Josh Mason. He's the head women's basketball coach. I'm Russ Snyder. This has been your weekly look at Tiffin University basketball with Dragon Basketball Weekly.